everyone. Welcome to Pop Chat. I'm Annette Tarpley, the host and the founder of the Passion of Poetry. And today I'm very excited. I have with me Kelly Owen from the UK. Welcome, Kelly.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So good to have you. Kelly and I got to know
Thank
each other quite a bit in the wee hours of the morning. So we were reading each other poetry and stuff all night long. So it was a marvelous little bonding thing we had. And I think we both fell in love with each other's poetry. But what I want you to do, Kelly, is tell us about Kelly. So, whatever you want to divulge, you can divulge your personal life, you can divulge um, your poetry journey and how you got into poetry, how long you've been doing it, if you have anything published, whatever you'd like to tell us. So, tell us about Kelly.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So basically, I was brought up by my father. I had a few stepmothers. Um, as I got older, there was some abuse there, so I left home, and I was pretty messed up during my younger stages. And it wasn't until I joined network marketing that I actually started to deal with all of my issues. And that was 2 years ago. Um, I got into writing by accident completely in 2008. I ended up writing The Dreaded Eviction, which was my first poem, and the poem that I told Annette last night, which was the second one I ever wrote, Voice of Its Own, which I can't do today. Um, it's not for the show. So when I stumbled across the poetry and I read it the day after I wrote it, I actually thought to myself, wow, I'm actually really good at this. I didn't finish school. I am dyslexic. I use spell check a lot. I love doing research as well. I've written a poem on the plague and I actually went to go and do my research. Same with the businesses that I join as well. I like to research as I'm going along. I made the mistake with my first one of doing all the research first, which kind of left me in a place of I still didn't know what to do. So 2 years down the line, I'm now with a different company. I've also took on perfume as well as the nutrition, but that's due to illness over Christmas. I wasn't very well. In fact, it's got to the point now where I can't go back into a warehouse, which I have come to terms with. I'm actually really happy about that now because I've managed to publish my own book through Wildfire Publications, which is The Fall of the Honest Poet. And there's a dedication in here to a absolutely lovely man, and he's my luncle. And no, that is not a spelling error. I was drunk one day and it got stuck. I called him Luncle and he loves it. So when my uncle passed away, um, I felt like I lost somebody important because he was that father figure to me. He was with the Royal British Legion. He'd help a lot of people. His family is huge as well, and they're all lovely. So this book actually means a lot to me because I know that he'd be proud of what I've done. And I'm proud of what I've done. The fact that I managed to do this while I was recovering as well, it's brilliant. It just shows that we're capable of absolutely everything or anything that we put our mind to. And that's what I'm about. I like to show people that no matter how low we are or how low we're feeling, there's always a silver lining. We've just got to be able to see it and visualize it. And if you can visualize it, you can reach it. And my new poetry as well kind of reflects that, the ones that I was writing earlier last year.
Um, as I was talking with you last night, and we were getting to know each other, um, you come across to me as, yes, somebody who's been through some things in your life, but who is very resilient and who very much knows who she is and has come out of the fire. You're the phoenix coming out of the fire. And so, um, remind me to send you something later I made about a phoenix. But those times, you know, because people take, rough times in their lives, and you can go two ways, right? You can
Yeah.
let you can let it define you, and let it, or you can rise above it. And there's so many people that don't do that. So
I
kudos.
let it shape me.
Huh? Go ahead.
I let it shape me.
That's even better. I love that. You let it shape you, yes,
Yeah.
into who you are. It's a great way to put it, actually. Not really to let it define you, to let it shape you. But you almost can't live back there all the time, right? You have to kind of put it in a box, you know.
See, I did the whole putting it in the box, and that didn't work for me. So, what I actually come to terms with is I started learning about the universal laws. And the way that I saw it was everything that happened to me happened for a reason. It wasn't about forgiving the people who did the inflictions or made me feel the way that I did. It was about forgiving the universe for dealing me that rubbish hand that taught me those lessons. And that's the way I look at life.
Repeat
It's
that.
a lesson.
Repeat that last line. Giving the universe what?
I was giving the universe forgiveness for dealing me that rubbish hand rather than forgiving the people who inflicted, because
Yeah.
those people don't belong in my life.
You talked a little bit last night. What was it that you said? The book that you're talking about with the man.
Okay, so I read a lot of Bob Proctor, and he's big on mindset completely. I don't just read his book, I study it. I also study a lot of other books as well. And to be honest, over the last since I've got poorly, of which I am really on the mend now, as you can tell, I'm looking a lot better. So don't worry, please. So yeah, I kind of slowed down on the reading, which I'm picking back up again now, and I love it. When you feel bad in yourself, you don't want to do anything. You don't. I let everything slide. I was more concentrating on getting me well. I had one problem after another. I won't go into some of the issues because I just won't. Um, let's just say I was poorly. I was very poorly. And it was just one thing after another. And now I'm having issues with my foot where I became my own tripping hazard. So it wasn't a case of feeling sorry for myself. It was more of a case of just being really poorly and not getting into the flow of it. Because when you feel that poorly during the day and you're on and off the toilet, and it's just not great. It's not a great situation to be in. And when you start your day that way, the rest of your day follows completely. So this is why I like to wake up. I like to journal because that sets you up for the day properly because you are coming from a place of abundance.
How long have you been journaling? Have you been journaling longer than you've been doing poetry? Is that something
No,
new?
the journaling is, oh God, that's about 6, 7 months now. I mean, I was writing a diary anyway, but the way that you journal is completely different to writing a diary. See,
Explain.
whereas
Explain.
when you're writing a journal, you are not just writing about the things that you are grateful for right in this second, but you are putting yourself in a place of visualizing yourself of where you want to be, what you want to achieve. And because you're grateful for that, which you haven't yet got, but you have, it's there. You've got the image in your mind. If you can see it, and you can create that emotion of having it, you'll attract everything that you need in order to receive it. And that's the way the laws of attraction work
And we're all worthy of that, aren't we? We're worthy of it, I
completely.
believe.
I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for this content. It's
I think when and I've never journaled. It's actually something I should do. Now that I have a life coach and I have an appointment today, that might be something I start doing. But I think that I imagine when people journal, it's a very insightful journey. in that you're writing your thoughts down, maybe your goals, and just in a different mindset. We have a couple comments, and I wanted to go there because I just saw one of the people that made a comment. Um, this person you may know, KD Share. Do you know that person?
Yes, I think so. I've heard the name.
So hello, KD. And
Hello.
then we have Sai Prakash from India, who is one of my admin. He's my right hand man. I value him greatly.
Hi.
I call him the cyber police. He keeps Pop safe. Cy, his name is Cy Cyber Police. Cy Cyber Police, yeah. So Cy, remember I told you last night about that book? So Cy is the one that mentioned to me, knowing how busy my world is and kind of chaotic. He said, Annette, you might want to look into this book. The monk who sold his red Ferrari, and I need to finish that book. But I got so much out of it. I probably got about halfway through it in just the bit that you did, because it's basically actually about enlightenment. So it's a fictionalized story where a guy is a very high profile lawyer, you know, and he's successful and he has everything. He doesn't want for anything, but his life is busy, and of course, because that's. So he's living this very stressful life, and he's in court one day and he drops down with a heart attack. And after he gets out of the hospital, he sells everything, moves to India, and then goes and finds out about this society of monks that lives up in the Himalayas that is very elusive, and nobody really has seen them. They just know about them, but no one's really encountered them. But he went on his journey and search, and he finally did encounter one. And so it was his time spending with those people who enlightened him on many things, and they were like, we'll let you into our society just as long as you take this knowledge and share it with others when you're done. So, and then it's very insightful stuff. So we both are going to do that, aren't we? We're going to do the red Ferrari.
We are.
Yeah. So
Definitely. I
I
need to
think,
read that book.
yeah, so you're kind of like me. I've always kind of done self-help type things. Not that I don't need, perhaps I need to go see somebody really, I don't know, but.
No, no, I think that the truth to finding happiness is actually allowing the inside to reflect on the outside, which is what I've been learning. If you
Yeah,
can create a feeling on the inside and you attract it, I mean, a positive feeling is a lot more stronger than a negative one. So if
yeah.
you're reflecting that in your everyday, you're going to be attracting the hellos, the thank yous, the smiles,
I
just
think some
everything.
people have a lot more self-awareness than other people, and are able to reflect a little bit more. What I always say is this is my saying, that really smart people learn from their own mistakes, but brilliant people learn from other people's mistakes.
It's true.
I tend to be more smart than brilliant, but
I'm
you
smart as
know,
well. I'm on the same page as you.
huh? What'd you say?
I'm on the same page as you. I'm smart as well. I like to learn from
Yeah,
my own
I mean, yeah,
mistakes.
but there are brilliant people out there that can really, just learn from other people's mistakes, which I just always envy. Well, I guess that we have, because there's paths that we've seen in life, and we haven't went down those roads. So we probably should give ourselves more credit. So what I love about Kelly Owen is, I fell in love with her poetry. I actually awarded her this last. I'm not always so good on pop about checking a lot of the poetry because I'm so busy in the background doing things. So there's a couple admin that carry the brunt. But when I do, and then I was checking it, and I came upon Kelly's this last week, and you just have this voice, that needs to be heard, and you have the voice that probably many people have. You feel it, and it just comes out. Now, along with that, Kelly also has some very creative poetic work. So, but what I want you to do, and this I'm a little jealous of, pop people, is that Kelly can recite most of the stuff off the top of her head. I know about three or four, and that's it. And you said you can learn it in an hour?
I can now. It used to be 3 hours, but recently, because I really concentrate, and I'm loving my poetry a lot more at the minute because there's a lot more emotion behind it. What
Yeah.
I realised before I started as a spoken words artist, I was never listened to. I was always seen as being aggressive because I couldn't deal with my emotions. It took me to my vitamins to be able to get a hang of.
Yeah. But okay.
Sorry, my screen just flipped off then
Yeah,
for some
that's
reason.
okay.
I have a ghost. So dealing with my emotions, especially as a child, I used to get shouted at a lot. It went further than that, but I don't go into that because that's done. It's dealt with. I move forward. So being in that situation where you've got people shouting over you and they're not listening, it creates, it's like pressure in your chest and it gets so tight, it can get physically painful. Now, this would be the volume getting higher on me. It wasn't shouting, it was a volume from inside, and it was always seen as being aggressive. See, whereas it was more than in a voice of, just hear me, hear me, understand, or at least try to.
So you probably felt almost like to be heard, you almost need to increase the volume, right? You know?
It was more of a natural thing that happened. It was uncontrolled. I couldn't control the volume. There was no control
Yeah.
at all. And that's very frustrating, especially when you're trying to have those conversations with loved ones. And they're going, but I want to understand. But if you wanted to understand, you'd be sat there, you'd be listening, and you wouldn't be talking over me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So
I think that it takes, and it is not an art form that I have by any means conquered, but all my life I've wanted to be a better listener. I'm still striving to be a better listener, because you learn so much when you listen to others. But we know we have our own knowledge, but our knowledge isn't really going to grow unless we listen to others and their story. So,
there is a line in this book. Now, this is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And this is pretty much my Bible, guys. So I write the one line into my journal, and it is, my eyes and ears are wide open. My mouth is closed.
yeah. I have asked married couples for many, many years, and I frequently do this. If they find they've been married for a long period of time, I'll say, what's the secret to a long marriage? And one time I ran across a couple and they said this. They said, we found out a long time ago that it takes two people to argue. So when one of us is very upset and whatever, the other one is quiet and just listens and they don't say anything. Because then if they don't say anything, there can't be an argument. So they just listen.
I was that person. I was that person, and now my mouth is so loud, people can't shut me up.
Well, you found your voice. You found
Oh,
your
yeah.
voice.
And now I
Um,
found it, it's not going.
Speaking of finding your voice, go ahead and please share something with us. Whatever you want. I want to share as much of your poetry as possible because I was like mind blown last night. I just fell in love with it. So you take the stage and take it away.
Okay, so this was my first ever published poem, and it was in the Trawler 2020. And it's called The Power of the Honest Poet. I'm tired of being polite. I'm tired of bottling what I think. I don't care if words press on your head like a foot to help you sink. You shouldn't be wrapped up like a delicate little flower. I don't care if words hit a nerve. Honest poetry, it's a power. If you don't like the way things are as I hit you with the truth, I don't care if you're shaking with anger. I don't care if you hit the roof. Every poem that flows is honest. I won't blow dishonest, miss. Poetry that packs a punch, more powerful than any fist. So I was walking home from work and I stumbled across a man who was very confused. He had no idea where he was going and he had head trauma injuries. And I ended up writing this, and it's completely true, everything in the poem. In fact, most of my poems are real life. So this is The Underestimated Poet. Walking home from work today, I was stopped by a very confused man. He said, I seem to be lost, my dear. I replied, I'll help you if I can. He wanted to know my name. The honest poet, Kelly Owen. I clicked my app, brought up my map to show the gentleman where he was going. Would you like a poem, sir? A smile lit across my face. The rhymes they roared, the lyrics they soared. A magical blanket around our space. You get underestimated. I can see you've seen it all. The man continued, my God, dear girl, I believe that this takes balls. This man had been in an accident. He was very nearly dead. Trauma from the scars he bears, the rather large one down the front of his head. To this man, I am a mystery. Through poetry, he related. He saw me for the poet I am. I wasn't underestimated, just helping a man who was getting frustrated, no longer discombobulated. Okay, so I've got loads. I'm just going to reel them off.
Yeah,
Okay, so
do a couple more. Actually, I'll put that on hold for just a second because
okay.
when you were saying the last one, because that basically was you were talking to a homeless person, right?
No, he was just a normal man. He was on his way to his friends. He was very
But it's
confused.
somebody
His
that you
phone
met
wasn't
out
working.
and you were wanting to give him a poem, right?
Yeah, basically, he was intrigued by me, just by me standing there and wanting to help him. And he was asking lots of questions. Who am I? What? People find something interesting. I don't know why. I do. I'm very chatty, so they
Yeah,
like throwing
I think we're
questions
both
at
very
me.
chatty, and that's why we were up until the wee hours of the morning, chatty, chatty.
7 o'clock this morning. Oh,
I never went to bed. I've been up, and then I did certificates, so I never went to bed. Neither
three
did you,
hours.
I don't think so. Look,
I had 3 hours sleep.
I didn't even have that much. You had more than me. I'm jealous. So, but
Fell
when you're
asleep, sat up.
talking about that, it reminds me because I very often, because of my sleep issue, I'll pull over in gas stations and sometimes sleep before I'm capable of driving, for safety reasons. So, I get approached a lot by homeless people, and many times I don't have any cash. One time a guy, wanted food. I took him in to buy him food, and but now when I give them something, I make them listen to one of my poems. It's contingent. They have to. You want some money? That's fine. I'll listen to one of my poems. I'll have a message for you here. Isn't that horrible that I torture them with my poetry?
No, because I do it at Grace Chapel. I've sat at Grace Chapel many times. I've had homeless people break down and cry because of my work.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you can look into somebody's eyes and see them taking in every single word and emotion. That's
Yes.
special. It's
Yeah.
really
It was
special as well.
probably a homeless person 5 years ago when I wrote that first poem. Uh, well, not my first poem, but the poem I told you about that made the difference. The I'm getting divorced poem. I could recite that one by heart because it was my therapy, as I drove. But I was working at a place, a clinic where there's a homeless man, and he was from Russia, and he was a younger guy, maybe 30s, 40s ish, and he had an attitude. He was mad at the world. Everybody was stupid, ignorant. And, he's the smartest person in the world. I mean, he just like everybody else was ignorant. He was, he just had this bad attitude. And so one day, and I've never done this in my career, I said, say something to me in Russian. And so he said, whatever. I said, what does that mean? And he said, F you. And I looked at him and I said it back to him. I said, F you. I said, don't ever talk to me like that again. I have done nothing but show you respect. I'm trying to help you. And after that, we were, on a different ground as far as then he respected. But I recited that poem to him and he cried like a baby for
It's
like
an
five
amazing
minutes.
poem.
for 5 minutes, and he kept saying, he kept apologizing. I'm so sorry somebody treated you that way. And then every time I saw him after that, he'd always say, you need to get that published. You need to get that published, you know. And so he was a big part actually of why I got that published, because he just kept saying, it's an important message. You need to um, get it out there. With that particular poem, and I read it to you last night, it's interesting how men and women perceive it differently, because to me, it tells a story and there's kind of a dark period, but in the end, I'm strong, right? Did you see that in it?
Powerful. I loved it. The power at the end, it blew me away.
But men look at it differently. They don't see the power in them. They just say, "Oh, that's so sad." I said, "No, no, it's not sad. I overcame
No,
it."
but they're seeing it from the other person's point of view rather than you being that empowering person.
Yeah. But so I want you to share more. It just made me think about that. But and it's interesting because you've done a lot of like street poetry, right? You've done some street poetry, and which is really unique, and I love that. I actually did some street poetry about a month ago. I was walking and I ran into a homeless guy that, the homeless aren't always very, sometimes they're a little odoriferous, and he was. You could tell he'd been drinking. I said, "Hey, you want to listen to a poem?" He said, "Sure." Of course, after I got done with it, he asked me for money, which I didn't have, and I felt really bad. I told him, I said, "I'll give you my book. You could go sell it and get some money."
It's just as good. It's currency.
Yeah. But anyway, so share more. One thing I do want you to share a little bit is your little amusing muses that you have, because you you have this talent that many people do not have. Not many people have the versatility that you do in your poetry, because you can write, about the dark, and then you can write about the humor, and you just, anyway, y'all will find out. She's wonderful. So do your thing. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and I want you just to spit it out, and then
Just
we'll come
pump them
back.
out. Okay, so I've got a thing about characters, and I make a little joke about it, and I do every time. Maybe I was deprived of stories when I was a child. My dad wasn't a very big reader. In fact, he didn't read stories at all. So I'm going to go with this one, and it's called Mentally Challenged. I always write my poems, removing thoughts from my head, seeing the words as I fill blank space, ripping monsters from under my bed. This is my choice of therapy, my way of putting nightmares to sleep. Bo Peep has lost her herd right now. I use them to count my sheep. Jack lost his mind in a dream. Jill, she tried to wake him. She was his legs to his table, his solid rock, so men in white coats wouldn't take him. Humpty Dumpty lost his mind, he swallowed every pill. Suicidal thoughts cracked his shell, making him mentally ill. Little Miss Muffet lost sight of the tuffet. She lost everything that made her shine. Psychologists and nurses, they just gave up, believing they was wasting their time. Georgie Porgy had a fight, never will he be the same. Too many punches to the head, doctors declaring he's insane. Cinderella lost her fella, the castle and fortune too. She spent it all on gambling. She lost her way. Be grateful. This isn't happening to you. Now, I like this next one because when I wrote this, I was kind of having a moment where I needed to pull back my power because I was giving my power to everything else around me. And this one is called Mary. Mary, Mary, not so scary, hiding in the back of that mirror. I'll stand my ground, I'll hunt you down. I'm telling you, I'm going to win you. A fairy tale, a rotten myth, a belief that can damage the brain. An unbelievable tale of a violent female, a myth that can drive you insane. You won't come out the same, with only yourself to blame. Because Mary, Mary, not so scary, she's an image created by fear. We power her source, her, our fears, of course. I'm pulling the plug, my dear. So, Mary, Mary, don't you dare me to look in the mirror at you. I'll stand my ground only to hunt you down. I turn my back on you. I take back my power. I like this one a lot. So this one is called Mary's Nightmare Lamb. Mary had a little lamb haunting every dream. Lamb's eyes red and full of dread, making Mary scream. Mary had a talk with Mum. This didn't go very well. Mum shrugged this off with a laugh, passing Mary a little bell. Mary tied this to the lamb whilst haunting one of her dreams. Now Mary hears this little bell on a lamb that feeds off screams. I can hear you coming as she hears the twinkling of the bell. I'm telling you now, it's scary, lamb. You go straight back to hell. Misfortunes. Feeling like little Miss Muffet, who sat on the tuffet, but she's not eating her curds and whey. Needs a solution not to cause any confusion. She's wanting ideas to stay. Plans have been made but have been decayed as others won't pass on the scoop. None of it matters because the plans are now tatters. Ideas that have turned into poop. Feeling a bit like a muppet leaving that green grass tuffet, holding head down as plans go astray. She wanted that spider to sit down beside her, talking misfortunes away. Future plans to be made, but she's afraid as well throws her avoidable tatters. She gets upset but holds her head high. The misfortune, that obviously matters. So recently I was in a situation where I was poorly. I wasn't getting listened to by doctors or consultants. I was actually very angry at what I was seeing. Long waits in hospital, everything. And I ended up writing this. And this is actually one of my most powerful poems to date. And I kind of call it my prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray my right to mine to keep. We once were proud, the strong of us pray. Let us spread some act of faith today. You call to take our freedom. You aim to take our rights. You are the cause of our destruction. There are no heroic knights. No fairy tale ending, a standing tall as the world stands back to watch it fall. Why? The chaos of walls of what once was as you sit there with your just because. So now I lay me down to sleep. I pray to the universe for these stones I keep, to keep me hard, to keep me strong, stop any inner coward when things go wrong. Please keep me well. Please keep me safe. I have unbreakable self-belief and I'll never lose faith. I know what is right and I know what I see. There is no hidden coward in me.
So that was marvelous. I mean, to me, you have a brilliance about you and your words. And we're going to talk a little about the poetry. Now, one of the things you're doing, the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, you learned that prayer when you were a child? Did you learn
I
that?
learnt that off a TV show when I was younger called Bad Girls, and there was a scene in it, and they actually made it into a poster. And there was a young girl dying in this TV program, and she had a brain tumor, and she'd just given birth to a baby. The baby had been taken away, and she was very poorly. She was a recovering drug addict, and she became like best friends with somebody who was very religious, and her name was Crystal Gordon. If you've ever seen Bad Girls, it's brilliant. You know, you need to go and watch it.
Mhm.
So it's not the film; it's a TV series. It is a UK-based one. It's no longer aired, but it always stuck with me. And every time I see that scene, I cry because it's one of the most beautiful scenes to see someone go from so much destruction to her wanting this best friend to say a prayer just for her because she knows that her end is coming. That is the most beautiful turnaround anyone could ever witness.
That prayer, exactly. That prayer, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
Yeah.
If I should die before I wake,
Before I wake, I
I
pray the
pray the
Lord,
Lord my soul to take.
my soul to take.
I was about maybe 4 years old, and I heard my parents argue. It was about midnight, very late at night, and they got me and my sister up in the middle of the night. They were arguing about how we didn't know our prayer. They got us up in the middle of the night to learn the prayer.
Oh,
And then we went back to bed, and I'm laying in bed thinking, am I going to die before I wake? I'm like frightened now. And so when my children were little, I changed it to now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Thy love guard me through the night and wake me with the morning light, which
I love
I
that.
think is a lot better than the other one.
Definitely.
So,
I think it was made to apply fear into people.
yeah, it's just I mean it's not right. And yeah, so anyway, we won't even say that one. The thing is that, and I'm sure you probably think this way too, but you've went through some health issues. I went through some. A lot of us, go through issues, and we survive whatever we're going through. And I always say there's a reason why you survive, that you have purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you're here still because you have purpose here on earth. You're meant to touch people, and probably touch people with your words and you know, your yourself. It's very important for me, as I'm sure you're a people builder too, and we talked about last night. There's a very famous poem called Desiderata. Do you know it?
No.
It was written in 1927 by Max Ehrmann. The whole thing is full of wisdom. I'll send it to you later. It starts
Thank you.
out it starts out like, go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. And without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Listen to even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. And then it has another piece that says something. This is one of my favorite lines. It says, um, "But do not wait. Let's see. Feign affection, but do not feign affection, nor be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as a grass." But this is the line that I've said to. The next line is what I've said to hundreds of people. I used to work in a prison. I even said it to prisoners, and that is this: but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. And beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here.
We are all born the same, we all die the same. It's what we
And
do
at
in
the very
between that
end,
leaves
and
the
at the very
footprints.
end of it, it talks about God, whatever you conceive him to be, you know. So it's not, and I think the guy was a minister. I'm not sure. I'll send you the poem, and then it also has a history of it, but it has the wisdom in it. And dang, I wish I would have written that myself. I just look at that and I think, wow, I wish I would have written something like that. What I want you to do now is this. I want you to tell me, I want you to define poetry for me. What do you think poetry is?
I think, no, I don't. I know. I know poetry is a window into the soul. And the way that people perceive poetry is always different. It doesn't matter if they're reading the same piece. Everybody feels something different towards it because they've all got a different background and they can find something different to relate. They are windows into souls.
Yeah. Do you feel like anybody can do poetry?
I think everybody has got the potential to put raw emotion onto paper, whether it rhymes or not. It is still poetic because it holds that emotional value.
Do you think somebody who is a very stellar poet, do you think that that is a God given gift, so to speak? Do you think that is a gift just as an artist or just as, you know, yeah. Because I think there's
Um,
certain levels. There are people who can write, but then there's people who can write.
yeah,
And
completely.
I watched a very great podcast the other day. No, I didn't watch it. I listened to it. It was like over an hour and a half long. And and I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. I'm going to be interviewing him soon. He's going to be interviewing me. But he had a poet on his show who was from Africa. I think maybe he lives in the States now. But he was had just this massive amount of wisdom and just so full of sage. I mean, it was brilliant, his mind. But one of the things when they were talking about poetry, they asked that question, what do you think poetry is? According to his definition, I wouldn't be a poet. So because because I write some poetry that is fictionalized, and I write stories sometimes.
But
Um,
children's poets are mainly fiction.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think though when I do write poetry or a fictionalized thing, I'm usually trying to do something with it. So I might be trying to teach a lesson, like the one about bullying, or I have another one called "The Legend of Jack." That's a great poem. It talks about basically people shunning this man all of his life until he dies. He dies saving a girl from drowning, and then he drowns. And then his legend lives on through the lyrics of song, because then the people got together. All of a sudden, they cared about Jack.
If
So,
you haven't heard this lady's poem, seriously, that one that you read to me last night about the bully,
oh,
you need to hear this, people. Like, seriously, it blew me away. It blew my socks off.
yeah, it's
I've never heard
one of
anything
the
like
few I
it.
know by heart. Yeah, Ned. Yeah, Ned's important to me. But I think especially when you've been bullied, you
Yeah.
know, I was bullied for many years, and I'm not sure why. Probably because I went to so many different schools, and I was always a new kid on the block. And then sometimes the boys like you because you're the new meat on the block, and so then the girls get jealous for all I wanted was a friend. I don't, just leave me alone. Were you ever beat up as a child?
Yeah,
No.
a few times. A few
Oh, we
times.
won't go. We won't go there if it's a dark place. But
No, 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 it's not. It's just I really had no escape from it when I turned into a teenager. It was a case of if I went to school, I got bullied. If I stayed at home, I got bullied. And it wasn't just verbal, it was physical. So the only time I really had a break was when I was skiving school with my best mate Jenna.
yeah.
So
Well, I was abused as a child from my mother, so I guess I got a little bit of that. She was alcoholic, so but I don't. But as a mother, um, you know, a few months ago, my daughter was upset because I was busy working and I couldn't go see the grandkids, and I don't get to see people very much because I'm so busy working. And she kind of criticized me about that. So I wrote all my children a very long letter, sent it to all of them, and I said, "This is parenting. In order to understand your parents, you need to know where they came from, where their parents came from, where their parents came from. So this is parenting, and this is my mother, and this was her mother, and where she came from. Because my mom's mom was an alcoholic, my mother was an alcoholic. So it was important for me as a parent to break that cycle and not to go there, and to teach you morals and how to be good people and lessons, and and to provide for you. And unfortunately, I was always the major breadwinner, so I was very often absent because I was making. So in the end, how I ended it was this. I said, so none of us is perfect as parents. We all will make mistakes, just as you will as parents. So what you need to do is to take what you think I did wrong, and then you need to fix that. You need to become the parent that you thought I wasn't. You know. So such is life. That journey where we become better people along the way.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that. It's a good way of seeing it.
yeah. be the parent that you thought I wasn't. Because each
Yeah.
generation is going to see something in their parent they didn't like, right? Whatever it may be. My problems, I've worked too hard. And when I was a new nurse at 20 years of age, I asked a 90-year-old man, I said, if you had to do anything over again in life, what would you do? And he said, I wouldn't have worked so hard. And I never took his advice. Never took his advice.
It's because you like to learn your own lessons.
Um,
Or you
but
enjoy working.
I don't enjoy. At the time I did. I was career minded. That was my passion. Now it's not. Your passion changes. Um, Although I'm a very caring and nurturing person, still I have that nursing part in me. I want to be selfish now. I want to have a life, and I want to
Yeah.
be able to spend it with my loved ones and grandchildren or whomever, or just actually have 2 hours I could go to a park. Wouldn't that be a novel thing? So tell me, you find Aladdin's lamp and you get granted 3 wishes. What 3 wishes are you going to wish for?
Well, my first wish would be for my wishes to be infinite.
Your wishes first wish is what?
My first wish would be that all the wishes were infinite, that they were limitless.
You know what? That's one of the best answers that I ever heard. Isn't that a great answer? Brilliant. Okay. First wish.
Okay. Second wish would be, wow, I haven't really thought about that. I mean,
You can be a little selfish on this.
I'm going to have to be.
Yeah.
See, my main wish is to have those bright lights behind me saying Kelly Owen. I want to be that person on stage with my poetry.
Good.
I I've got a
But
very
you
good
need you
stage
need to pull
presence.
me up from the audience to get up there at least one time with you. So yeah. But I need to become more animated. So I love that. So you want to be more theatrical with your poetry. Good. I love that.
Definitely. It's not that. I love the way I feel when I'm giving my poetry, especially when you've got an audience in front of you and their eyes are just penetrating straight through you.
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as you look in their eyes, you can see exactly how they're feeling. You can see the tears forming, you can see the smiles,
Yeah.
and it's like reading their own personal book, and it's right in front of you without the words. You don't need to know the trauma that's done that. You just know that there is something there that they relate with in that poem, and it's made an impact.
And you can
And
touch
that's all that
them.
matters.
How powerful your words are. And you write a lot of powerful things in your poetry. But I love your whimsical poetry too. To me, it's so amusing. I mean, and that's what the a person from the other thing would say isn't poetry because it isn't coming from the heart or whatever. Um, well, it is kind. It's whimsical, but poetry I think takes many. It's funny when you go to ask people, poetry. Well, how do you interpret it? What is it? And then you ask them about prose. What is prose? Prose versus poetry. I never seem to get a really solid answer on that about prose. How about you? You got a solid answer? Because every time I look it up or somebody explains,
No, because I go by quintillion.
you go by what?
Quintillion.
What's
So,
that?
quintillion, basically, it's preparing your poem. So, invention, arguments, okay? Disposition, order of arguments. Memory, learn the above with extra facts to display. Style, choice of words for emotional impact. Utterance, how to perform your arguments. Quintillion.
That is
I
cool.
was,
And you have it up on your wall, girlfriend. So
I
wow,
do,
that's cool. Send that to me later.
I will.
So, so last night we did an exercise. Do you want to read your exercise? So I came up with a title. I tried to get you to come up with a title, but and then I just kind of.
Yeah, I was overtired and
So
just
I was coming up with a title, and we were both going to write on it. And
okay,
so read it. I would like to hear you read it.
okay.
And of
So
course, I can never read yours until I get mine done because then it's like, ah.
no, I love that though because it means that you're really putting your work into it rather than having somebody else influence it, which is really nice.
I got
So
accused once on a contest. I never read anybody else's contest stuff until I did get mine done. But I posted mine, and someone accused me of waiting till the end to post it so I could read everyone else's and then just make mine better.
they're just jealous. They're just jealous. And if
Yeah.
that person's on here now, hi, you're jealous. So this is called poetry that moves you. The world is full of magic, especially in poetic creatures. Many words hitting each page, so many empathic rhyming teachers. Creating poetry that moves you, makes you love, ache, or cry. Some can take you to different worlds, bringing wonder to each ear and eye. Writing from raw emotion, coming from a very personal place, leaving magic on a page for every reader to feel and embrace. Coming into poetic headspace, whether happy or feeling blue, emotions bouncing, rhymes on a page, creating poetry that moves you. I think you should read yours as well.
Oh, I don't need to read mine.
I think you should because yours was absolutely amazing.
Um, oh, let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know. Maybe I erased it or something. Okay, so same title, right?
Yep,
Now, if we do this again, you're picking the title. So, um,
deal.
poetry that moves you. Poetry that moves you, that breaches the barrier of your soul, is the breath of emotions, words with its own ebbs and flows, the power of the ink that is held in the vessel of a pen draws you into reading stellar work over and over again. Magic contained within words, the author is a skilled magician. Bloody ink on page takes you hostage. There is no permission. Metaphorical rhyming verse, stanzas, creatively captivating. Mesmerized by the poet's talent, deliciously intoxicating. As a poet exposes their mind, now naked for your perusal, wanting acceptance of his work, downtrodden by refusal, the poet will take you into a world where imagery will reign. Sit back, enjoying the poetic journey. The message may be profane. Profound, the ingenuity of the poet, a craftsman of word art. They may leave you wanting more from the pages you won't depart. Now, relax, allowing the poetry to move you as you sip your cup of tea. I, the poet, casting my spell, leave you yearning more from me. That was rather egotistical in the end, wasn't it? Yeah, I, the poet, will leave you wanting more from me. So we have some comments. We're going to go to that real quick. Um, Anybody who's watching this and you make a comment, if you don't identify yourself, you are not just another Facebook user, at least while we're alive. We'll be able to identify you later. But please, if you leave a comment, sign it and tell us who you are. So here we go. So we have some good. I don't think we did this one earlier, did we? Good to see you, Miss Kelly Owen and Miss Annette Tarpley. And then we have a hello.
Hi.
And then we have a Greg Etzel's here. He's late. Greg often comes to these. Thank you, Greg. AJ is Alan Johnson, the man who I sent the video that does my narration.
Yes.
So
Oh, the one with the wonderful voice.
that's the one with the wonderful voice and just talent. And, he's an amazing writer, but he does not like to be called a writer, but he is, and he's a poet. But we'll let him live in his own imaginary world. But he's amazing.
Secrets out.
Oh, he's amazing writer as well. He's just what makes me mad about Alan, who has all this talent, and I just have this very narrow, And Alan
I
is
think you give yourself less credit than you should.
well, I mean, I have talents, but I'd like a few more, like maybe music or being able to sing, but I can sing, but not well. So Alan says, hi to both of you. Well done, and another great interview. All the best to you, Kelly Owen. So Alan is
Hi.
a great person, and you should join his Trending Poets. So I would encourage you to join Trending Poets.
Drop me the
So
link. Drop me a link and I'll come and join.
I will. And Alan does amazing and has recently offered some really great deals on his poetry. I've gotten in on a couple of those. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So, Alan, and then we have Aw. I'm just back in the house, been shopping. Sorry I missed. Oh, this is Jill. So, this is Jill Tate. She's also from the UK. Both of those people are from the UK. So Jill is a lovely lass. She usually calls me lass. That's usually how I identify it's Jill. So thanks, Jill. And then we have Vince Valdez, great poetic. Yeah, Vince Valdez from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I bet it's really pretty
Hi.
Toronto. Hey, y'all. So I'm so glad y'all are joining us. Feel free to, even if you want to ask Kelly questions. Um, so, Kelly, what subject matter do you think that you most often write about?
Mental health.
Love,
Mental health and emotional
mental
rage.
health, and emotions. Good.
Definitely, because of the lack of understanding that goes with it. And when
Yeah.
people feel misunderstood, they like to go back to my poetry and feel something from it.
Yeah. I've done psychiatry, and I always tell my patients this: we all got a little cray cray going on. It's just to what extent. So everybody has issues. It's
Definitely.
just what you do with it and how you handle it. And so, and
I
I
write.
think, don't you think poetry is a great outlet?
I
Yeah.
have been so angry in poems, and even when I speak them now, and I'm not so angry about them, you can still feel it
Yeah. Yeah.
through what I'm saying, and I put myself back in that place.
Yeah. One of the things I did when I did psychiatry, and I got in trouble for it because I encouraged people to do poetry, and they were like, "Oh, you can't talk about your poetry." And I rarely recite anything. A couple times, maybe the bullying one. But what I would say is anxiety is energy,
Yeah.
and it can be destructive, and it can come out in panic attacks or however, or anger or whatever. Or you can use it constructively and funnel it into something constructive, such as poetry, painting, whatever. So you can take that same energy and make something beautiful out of it.
It's
Is that what you
therapy.
do? Is that what when you're really upset, is that where you take your energy?
It's therapy completely 100%.
And when you write, how do you write? Do you handwrite? How do you put it down?
Both. In fact, I'm very proud of my handwriting. For somebody who didn't really go to school much towards the end, my handwriting is.
I want to
Oh,
see it.
I'm very proud of it.
You have nice handwriting. Oh, bring it in, girl. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful handwriting.
And that's my journal.
If I could write like that, I'd be writing a journal, but half the time when I write, I can't figure out what I wrote. So there you go. Wow, that is blank. So can you teach me how to handwrite like that?
It's practice, lots and lots of
I
practice.
mean, did you seriously just like were you just meticulous about it? You should have been an engineer. The engineers and stuff and architects are all very methodical about their handwriting.
I'm very artistic when it comes to handwriting. In fact, I love the flow
Calligraphy?
of
Do you do
yeah.
calligraphy?
I've got a calligraphy pen as well. It's my favourite one, and I use that on special occasions. Like
So
if
do you write your own stuff in calligraphy and frame it or anything?
I have done in the past, but because of the bouncing about, I've lost a lot of stuff. Luckily, I have got
That would be
most
a
of my
good present.
poetry
That would be
now.
a good present for Annette someday. Write a poem, um, write it in calligraphy, and send it to the United States. Because I mean, you went to the post office this morning. I mean, you could just like drop
I haven't been yet. I've still got to go. I fell asleep.
it. And that was how many hours ago? I don't know. That was a while ago that we talked.
Well, I fell asleep at about, I think it was 8:15.
How dare
Or was
you
it
think
closer
you
to
need
9 o'clock?
sleep?
Oh, do you want to know something? I actually look pretty good for somebody who hasn't been asleep.
I'm not even tired, and that's really unusual. So we have a couple more little. So we have Jill saying, yes, you are my lovely lass. Jill and I had a bit of video time this chatting this weekend. We had fun. She one of these days I'm coming to England. I'm going to visit y'all, so you won't be able to get rid of me. Um, so this is still Jill. Kelly, do you fancy rewriting all of my poetry books? Oh my gosh. Oh, arg, So Jill has written all. Now, Jill, you'll have to tell me. So Jill has this number that she has here, but last year, I swear, Jill, you told me that something happened with your iPhone, like 5,000 poems or something were gone. Like they were all gone. Did you ever retrieve those, Jill? I'm hoping. Gosh, she's written like uh, uh,
I've got the same issue with that phone.
I do, yeah, I do a lot on my phone. I do it on my computer sometimes. Like last night, the one I did on my. When you do it on your phone, you know what's happened to me on my phone though. So I'm tired. I'm writing on my phone, put my finger on it, and then I wake up and it's all gone. It deletes it. It deletes it. And I have written some good stuff that's been deleted. If I'm too tired and I put my phone, I'll wake up and it's all gone. So what I do now, try to remember to do if I'm doing it on my phone, is periodically I'll like copy it. So in case I do that, if I'm really tired, because yeah, that's
That
so.
sucks. I almost threw my laptop out the window the one day over Christmas while I was writing a book. I'd almost finished it and accidentally deleted over half,
Oh,
and
oh
it
my
was
gosh.
unrecoverable. I had to put it all back in by hand.
Oh my god. Have you ever been writing and typing something, had a bunch of stuff on, and you hit a button and it's all gone? Have you ever done that?
Yes, and you lose
No.
everything. And the
Listen to
annoying
me.
thing is, you
Listen.
never get it back.
No, listen to me. This is going to save you. This is going to be the best thing. This is going to be better than copy and pasting. You know how you get it back? You touch that button, it's gone. Don't touch
Yeah.
anything else. You do Control and Z, as in zebra. Boom, it's back. Control Z.
I learn something new every day, you see. That's very handy.
It has changed my life. I'm telling you. Because you could be writing a book and not saving anything, and all of a sudden, boom, it's gone, and then it's like,
For everybody who doesn't know this information, get writing it down. This could save you, like, seriously.
this is how, yeah, we could be saving y'all. What else? Oh, here we got more stuff. What Jill said. Jill says, I got all back. Yes, we're in a cloud, iCloud. Good with the new phone. Oh, thank the Lord. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, can't imagine. Oh. So then we have somebody says, I'm in engineering and we have nice handwriting. It will be fun to do that as a hobby. Wonderful work for you, ma'am. Would love to know who you are, Mr. Engineer. And you don't have to call me ma'am. That just makes me feel old. Just call me Annette or old lady or whatever. That'd be fine.
I've
So
noticed that with a lot of Americans, they do it out of politeness, calling people ma'am.
we do. And when I'm,
Lots.
but it's territorial. For instance, I grew up in the Midwest in Iowa. We didn't ma'am. You never ma'amed or sirred anybody unless they were elderly. Only people you ma'am or sirred. And then I came here, and I was 30 years old, and they were ma'am and sir me. I was ma'am and me. Sometimes I get a sir too. Excuse me, sir. And I was like, so then I was feeling old. But when you're in the South, you ma'am and sir everybody. Yeah, it's the polite thing to do. And then we have, yep, been there, wore the sad heart T-shirt. Damn delete. She'll so in control. She's so funny. I don't know where Stuart Dan is. I don't think you said last night you didn't know who Stuart Dan was, but he's not with
No,
us right now. But he's a poet. So, do you have a favorite poet other than yourself?
me.
Because we talked about this earlier. And you know what? I think
Me.
that's a good place to be because you have to like your own poetry. Otherwise, why would you go forward, right? So, yeah.
The reason why I am my own favourite poet is because I feel everything that I say. I feel everything that comes from them writes. And I think it's important that you believe in yourself, especially when it comes to what you do and what you put your heart and soul into. Because if you don't like it, nobody else will.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? I always say I love me. You know why? Because I have to spend 24/7 with me everywhere I go. There I am. I can't get away from me. Turn the corner, there I am. Turn the corner, there. You have to. Otherwise, your life is going to be miserable. And it's not that we're going to like everything that we have about us because we're always going to have things we can fix. But yeah, how miserable is a person that really hates himself? That would be a miserable life, right?
So,
Yeah.
poet that I do love, Dr. Zeus.
Dr. Seuss, you are not the first person. I'm trying to think of who else told me that Dr. Seuss was their big person. Wow.
Green Eggs and Ham. If you haven't read that, you need to. Brilliant.
You know, and I don't know if you know who. Do you know who Dennis Brown is?
No,
That does,
no,
huh? So Dennis Brown is one of
no.
my admin, and he does a contest every Monday, a Monday's Choice, Members' Choice, or whatever. And he's a brilliant poet too. He's a really great poet. Our writing styles are much the same. And we've both been busy in our own lives and we've had stuff come up. But when we first met 2, 3 years ago, whatever it was, we met on the pretense, we started chatting and we were going to do a project together. And we are going to write a book. And the book was a mother and son poetically talking throughout life. And so we written some of these poems, like talked about
Oh,
the day he was born. He talked about his first ball, just different parts. So we've both written some of it. We have to finish it someday because it's going to be marvelous. And we were going to take it up to the end, whatever that might be, his probably saying his last goodbye or you know. So we're going to take it throughout that lifespan. And we really need to finish that. It's a great concept, right?
if you finish that, I want the link to buy the book. Like seriously,
You want the what?
I want the link to buy that book when it's done.
Oh, it will be marvelous because he is an amazing writer. I think he's Dennis. We're very similar, and so is Sarfraz Ahmad, which you need to also meet. You got to meet all kinds of people. So he's one of my admin too. Sarfraz and I became friends. I call him the romantic poet. And I even wrote a poem about it, the romantic poet. I wrote a poem about it. And so I met him, and I said one time to him, "Gosh, I wish I had a boyfriend that would write me like romantic poems." And so he wrote me a romantic poem one time, and so we became friends, and we co-wrote a book called Two Hearts. That was my second book. So we wrote one together, and he's got great writing as well. And you need to yeah. Richard Lamoureux is another great poet. And
Oh,
that's,
come and introduce yourselves. I'm going to come into the comments afterwards. I'm going to come and talk
you
to
know
you
what you
also.
need to do is, do you want to watch Richard Lammer? Well, I don't know if it's going to make you sad though. It's kind of sad, but he wrote a marvelous. I'll send you the link to it later, the YouTube video, and Alan did it. Alan did a great job, and it's called "Cup Full of Empty,"
Love that.
and it's
Even the
about,
title, it
uh,
speaks volumes.
yeah, it's about a father who has alcohol problem, and he's having tea and his cup full of empty with his little girl. Goes through it. Unfortunately, she goes down the same road. Anyway, it is just this powerful, powerful poem. It's one of my favorite poems of all time that he wrote, and you'll see why when you listen to it. It's just amazing. So Jill said, Jill called. Did she said what did Jill say? Jill's quite funny. You just gotta meet Jill sometime. You need to come to. I'm having on Pop. I have two or three or four more seats for the open mic Sunday, but you need to come to open mic.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, it's Sunday, so I'll give you your choice of which one you want to come to. But then you'll meet some of the other poets. So this is Vince was Vince, um, Canada, and used to ma'am to address with courtesy, but in Canada we don't do it with our managers. We call them by their casual names. Ma'am Kelly, I like your poem. So he's
Thank you.
calling you ma'am out of courtesy. So there you go. And you're going to
Thank
share
you,
some
good
more
sir.
of your poem. We went into 1 hour and 12 minutes. God forbid we. So cup full of empty is a cup full of perfection. And cup full of empty actually is, I recently in December came out with Pop's first anthology. It's called Inked with Passion. I wish you were in it. But so it has over like 130 poets in it, and
Wow, that's
cup
impressive.
full of empty is in that. I was like honored to have that in that book. So that is on it's on Amazon. And then we have, okay, so cup full of empty. So we have three little spies here still. I don't know who they are. We got Jill. Jill is hilarious. You'll love her from over
Hi,
there.
Jill. Nice to meet you.
Um, she's she's I love Jill. She's got this spirit, and Jill often sings songs when she comes to. She'll make her. She does songs, so she'll put it to song, which you have one, don't you? That we talk.
Oh, I've got many.
Okay, you got the stage, so sing us some songs.
Okay, so the one that I did last night's got a bit of swearing in it, so I think we'll leave that one. So I'm going to go for my anthem. You haven't heard this one, so
It was so
a
good
lot of
though.
people have. So I don't want to hang around denying all my dreams. I can feel the passion brewing, but I smother up the screams. Magical wheels are turning, making me feel this way. I don't want to hang around, I want my dreams today. I can't do excuses, so I refuse to hang around. I've had enough of laziness, but now I'm mentally sound. I plan on taking over, rolling every day. I want to keep this passion up and need my dreams to stay. I love everything quintessential. I finally found my home. I don't want to hang around or be the garden gnome. I plan on making impact wow myself today. Like Teen Fearless, voicing statement day.
Oh, that was marvelous, marvelous. Keep going, girl.
Okay, so again, the recent situation, I ended up writing this while I was very angry. It did have swearing in it, and then I curbed it. Oh wow, the words just popped. Yep, I've got it. Why won't you let me blow my bubbles? Once held love for red, white, and blue. We gasp for air while we fight for fair with a messed up system that doesn't care. This is never ending, aiming to take our rights. They dare. Why won't you let me blow my bubble? Pretty bubbles everywhere. So,
You got how many songs have you done?
I've done a few, but they're the clean ones. They're the only clean ones that I've got with no swearing.
Oh, the one that
Um,
you did
I,
last night was so funny. Couldn't you alter it a little bit? Oh my gosh, it was so good. Oh,
okay, I'll have a go.
okay.
See
Try to
what I can
alter it.
do.
Just like say the other word for whatever it would be. There you go.
Okay. So if you know Winter Wonderland, I'm glad you do because I don't know the original, but I do know this version. I can't write. My brain is tired. Have a spliff to get me wired. I'm rolling a joint, getting straight to the point. I wanna write another silly poem. Writer's block. I can't handle electric's gone. Find a candle. I really can't write. Been struggling tonight. I wanna write another silly poem. I don't like it when my words don't flow out. I like it when the ink dries on the page. I find it hard to write a happy poem. The words are fluent when I'm filled with rage. I want rage. I want passion. Write with style and compassion. I really can't write. Been struggling tonight. I wanna write another silly poem. Never mess with words that can be weapons. Never write a thing that you don't mean. To get stuff off my chest, I write my poems. They help me bring some light through to my dreams. Writer's block. It's so boring after 3 a.m. You're taking the mick and I'm yawning. Rolling one more joint while getting straight to the point. I never wrote that other silly poem. I do like that one far too much, and I kept my ex-wife up for far too long that night, and I annoyed her so much. I got booted out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning just so I could write that poem.
You got booted out by your wife because you were writing the poem. Oh,
No, I was flipping over like a fish, honestly. When I get words in my head, I can't stay still. I'm literally like a fish flipping in bed.
that's hilarious.
It's quite
Hilarious.
amusing. I would like to do a couple. Am I okay to do a couple more poems for you
Yes, please
before we
do. I'm gonna before you do so, I didn't get rid of the last comment. I apologize. I'm just going to
It's
put up a
fine.
couple more comments. Jill is saying
Hi.
hi back to you, and then love it last, loving your accent. That's from Jill. Jill's got her own little British accent wherever y'all are from, and then we got more from Jill. Kelly, you're good at singing solo. And oh,
Oh, I love that film. That is one of my favourites. And you know the scene with Nancy when she's singing. Oh,
yeah,
she does a few songs,
yeah,
but
just
Papa, Papa, that's how it goes. Favourite song.
oh, great. Well, if you want to sing it, go for it. But we got good singers,
One
good
day, not yet.
posters, events. No, we could have a whole. We could do a pop event or pop chat later on where you just entertain us the whole time with song and dance or whatever you want to do. So good singers, poetess, and then we have from Jill Teehee. Love you, last Kelly. You are a drop of fresh air.
Thank you.
Jill, you gotta love Jill. Jill is just wonderful. So go ahead and do a couple more poems, and then I might ask you another question, and then we're going to wrap things up because it is hour and 20 minutes in, and
That's impressive.
in about 20 minutes, I have an appointment with my new life coach. So
Wow. I'm very impressed with that. So,
well, let's if it makes a difference in my life, it will be impressive. If it doesn't, then it
oh,
won't.
it most definitely will.
So I'm muting myself. Take
Sound? We got any sound?
I said I'm muting myself. Take it away, but I think I
Oh,
actually muted myself before you heard the take it away. So go for it,
okay.
girl.
Okay, so I wrote this after somebody jumped in my inbox trying to get free tickets out of me. Hello there, if you're about. Hi, you might remember this. So this is called Dovictane, which is Bulgarian for goodbye. Izvinete. Excuse me. You want to say that again? I'm no good at what? Wait there, 1 second. Let me reach for my pen. Go on then, just say it. I practically dare you. My only reply being, Nogo, blagodaria, followed by Doskara, praying to myself, this doesn't happen tomorrow. Dobletten, as he Kazvan Kelly Owen, see what I did? I wrote the hater a poem. Just walk past if you see me, no saying hey. The only thing I'll be thinking is Dovictane. It's very sarcastic, that poem, and I love it. So,
Now we might want to explain in there because you had
oh,
a
okay.
little bit of your different language in there, and so people aren't going to be understand what you're saying. So just let them know what you were doing in there.
Okay, so Izvinete is actually, excuse me, Nogo Blagodaria, sorry, is a lot of thank you. So thank you very much. Doskoro, praying to myself, it doesn't happen tomorrow. See you soon. As he Kazbam Kelly Owen, my name is Kelly Owen, and Dovictane is goodbye. So very sarcastic poem. I love that one. I actually did a Bulgarian counting 1 to 10, which is on my wall, and it's in the Honest Poet. I haven't learned that one, but I can do that. I am learning Bulgarian. I've only learned a little bit so far. Most of my nutrition company is Bulgarians as well, which makes sense for me to be learning a language. So, okay. Now, I wrote this one morning and I wasn't feeling myself. And I got asked why I was so down, and I wrote this. It's very short, but I found it really empowering when I wrote it. It's called Hello Sunshine. Hello, my sunshine. You're not smiling today. The clouds moved over, making my sky look grey. The rain started falling, so I looked at the view. Then the clouds moved away so that I could shine through. Okay. I actually sold quite a few copies of Smile over Christmas, and that's all it is. It's a card, a photo with my very pretty little face on it.
So
And
that's lovely.
this,
So how much can I buy that for? How much would I buy it for?
so the rest of the world, it goes for $7 because of delivery as well. I take PayPal. I just like to stick with PayPal
Like
for that.
seven American dollars.
$7 American, and that includes with the postage packaging,
Oh,
and it also comes signed as well
so you're gonna
with a personal.
if I send you $7, you're gonna send me one.
I'll
You're like,
send you one. That's how it works. So
okay,
this over Christmas.
just a second, because I'm gonna call you out on this. Okay, so y'all don't believe her when she says she's gonna send it to you. She can't even make it to the post office. She's supposed to go to the post office this morning very early, and she didn't go. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Okay, who kept me up
She
until
was supposed to
seven
go to the
o'clock
post
this
office,
morning?
but if she's gonna say she's gonna mail it to you, it might be like 3 or 4 weeks down the road. I don't know. So
The
I'm
way the
just
postal service works, I wouldn't put it past them.
I'm just kidding, of course. The anthology I told you about earlier. So it's my book. I produced it. I know the moment it went live. I'm the first one on Amazon to order it, right? So 3, 4 weeks down the road, 5, 6. Everybody all over
That's
the world got
shocking.
it. In the UK, everybody's saying, "Oh, I got my book. I got my copy." I don't have my copy.
Yeah, but you're meant to have your copy first.
It never even came here. UPS lost it. I don't
No.
know. It never even made it here. Never made it. And it was in town. December 23rd, it said UPS was the tracking thing, and it said it was in town, delivery tomorrow. And then the next day, delivery delayed for a day, delivery
Oh
tomorrow.
God.
The next day, delivery tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, it was just like lost in space. They didn't know what happened to it.
They all been on strike.
I hope that whoever got it is enjoying all that poetry. So we need to take that. Years ago, my dad had given a ride to a homeless person. I think they were, hitchhiking, and then they stole from him. And one of the things they stole out of the car was his cassettes of the Bible. They stole all of his Bible cassettes, and he just thought that was great, great. They needed it. I'm glad they stole the Bible, the Bible cassette.
That's a good way of seeing it.
So I'm hoping that whoever has it is enjoying some poetry. So, do you have another one you want to share? I'm gonna have.
Yeah, I really want to share this one because of the message behind it, which is why they sold. I was having people buy these as presents to go out to people who needed to hear a similar kind of message.
Well, I
And
want
what I
you to
do was
read it,
sign these personally.
and then I might purchase more than one because I might give it for gifts. So I'm going to give the screen back to you
Thank you.
and read Smile.
I don't need to read it, people. Smile because you are here. I know your past has been outrageous. Dreams now have you in fear. The time has come to smile, dear. What happened shouldn't have. You have lived it every day when others brought that bad. But there is still life to be had. Your torment won't last forever. I believe you are strong enough to get this together. Smile because you are you and you are beautiful inside and out. If you need to rage, burst open a page, let your pen scream and shout. No hanging about. You've got this. You'll smile once again. Your laugh is being missed. Your smile is waiting, waiting to be set free. This poet wants to see you smile. You have a friend in me. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with this poem. And it's called Statement Day. Today, I make a statement. I voice this loud and clear. Now emotionally in control. My statement day. It's here. No longer be that person collecting dust upon that shelf. No emotional torture dragging me down, being detrimental to my health. Today, I make a stand. No more. Go away. One independent individual I am, making today my statement day. Thank you for listening to me.
That was powerful. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, I have a new top poet friend now. So you're
Same.
amongst the mecca in my list, and I'm blown away by your talent and your delivery and your wisdom and your insightfulness and just the nuance of Kelly Owen. So you are a lovely soul, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring. Keep touching people, and because you do have purpose, and it is to
We
touch.
all have.
Yeah,
Every single one of us.
we do. But yours is through your words because you have powerful words.
Thank
And
you. So do you.
words have power, but when you mix them and combine them and choreograph them into the right sequences, they have even more impact, which you do. So it has been a pleasure to have you, and I definitely will have you back. You're one of those spur of the moment people. If nobody's on, I can just say, "Hey, Kelly, you wanna?" Yeah, because this was very spur of the moment. So, and Jill was too. She recently, we had a little weird little thing we did recently, very chatty, like we were having a cup of tea. But I hope all of you have really enjoyed Kelly as well in her poetry. And you can catch it online. You can buy her thing. She's a member of the Passion of Poetry, and
I am.
you'll be hearing more from Kelly
I
Owen.
promise to post more. I promise.
Oh, she'll go to the post. I was just kidding about that. Oh, you
No,
guys.
I stopped posting to groups. I fell out with
Oh,
groups
you stopped posting
completely.
to groups? What, you don't post anymore?
I
You posted to
stopped,
my
and
group.
then
You should
there's
post to
only a
mine.
select. Sorry.
Well, you posted to my group because I awarded you recently.
Yeah, recently, but I stopped over last year, and it's only been recently, over the last few months, that every now and then I'll post to cut to the same cloth, your group, my two groups, and Special Quill, and there's one more, the Poetry Labyrinth, which is run by Janelle Erin Peters. And if you haven't heard her poetry, please go and have a look.
What's her name?
Janelle Erin Elizabeth Peters, and she's phenomenal,
I know
absolutely
I've read hers.
phenomenal.
I thought she was a member of Pop. I don't know if she still is or not. Jill might
Possibly.
be able to tell me because I think she used to get awarded. Jill knows a lot of the people because she does awards every week. Somebody is blowing up my phone, girlfriend. Um, so um, amazing. We went. I think you have the record now. The longest pop chat, hour and 32 minutes, and you broke the record. Ooh, touchdown! So you go down in the annals of pop chat history as the longest chat. Um,
Sorry, guys.
I know, right? So we'll see who is going to beat now. Who's going to beat Kelly Owen's record? I actually have another pop chat. I think later on I have to get ready. Edka, as you, I always pronounce it. I love Edka. I always pronounce your name wrong. I swear she does it so. Ahuja. Um, anyway, love you, Edka. She's one of my admin. Love you. She's such a sweet soul.
Hi.
So, everybody that's enjoying this, thank you so much. Jill, you've been the die-hard person that you always are. Love you, girl. Um, love and blessings to you, dear Kelly Owen, my friend. It's been a blessing getting to know you and having you come into my life.
Likewise.
I think that we all meet each other for a reason. And then, you have touched me as hopefully maybe something I said touched you.
I
So,
love your poems. Wow. I'm still blown away by what I heard. So,
well,
completely.
I am honored that you came on, and I'll have you on again, definitely. And keep doing what you're doing because not only are you a word artist, but you're an artist in your production and delivery of your work because not many people can do that. So keep doing your spoken word, keep doing you, do your entrepreneur, be the best you can be as you are, and you'll be teaching me some stuff along the way, I'm sure. So
Be glad
love
to.
and blessings to you all. Thank you, Kelly Owen.
Thank you. And
And
thank you for having me.
oh, it was a pleasure, my pleasure and my privilege. So see y'all later. Tonight I think if I can get it up and running, I'm gonna be having Etka about 8 or 9 Eastern Standard Time. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much, Kelly Owen. Take care, y'all.
Goodbye.
Bye.